Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about how to set up TypeScript together with Node.js. So if you don't know, TypeScript is a typing language which is a superset of JavaScript, and it allows you to specify types for your variables. And that is a very good and convenient feature that allows you to easily debug your code and prevent really nasty bugs from appearing in your software. So I'm going to show you now how to do this for Node.js. So I have already created a folder called Node TypeScript, and this is an empty folder. We are going to initialize our project. So I'm going to say npm init, and I'm going to say yes to all, so Node.js will accept everything by default. So let's look at that. We don't have anything here. So we are going to install our dependencies, and this is going to be Express and other things, TypeScript for example. So we are going to install let's say npm install type save dev, because it is a dependency. So TypeScript. So we are having TypeScript now. We are going also to install the Eslint as a linter. Okay, so it is almost there. And we are going to install also Express. So, and this one is going to be a normal dependency. So Express is a framework for web applications. Yep. So now we have this installed. The next step is to install types for Express and for Node.js. Usually when you are using any popular library made in JavaScript, there is a very big chance that it will also have a types declarations for that library in npm. So in the npm repository, I mean. So if you go to npmjs.com and you search for the types of your library, it's very probable that you already will have the types library there. So what we have done here, we have installed TypeScript, we have installed Express, and now we are going to say npm install. These are going also to be dependencies, save dependencies, development dependencies. So save dev, and these are going to be types node and types express. Okay, so we have them, and yeah. Now we have to initialize TypeScript, and for this you can do two things. You can either say tsc, which is the compiler for TypeScript, and if you run it like that without any parameter, it will create a tsconfig file here. But we are going to just copy the settings by hand, because otherwise you will have to tweak all the parameters that are thrown on you by the compiler. So I'm just going to create a file called tsconfig.json. So, and in this tsconfig file, I'm going to just copy some settings that I have prepared before, and I'm going to explain them to you. So first you are going to, this is the most important thing, you are going to provide compiler options, and this is module is CommonJS, which is the module mode that Node.js uses. And module interop is something like additional JavaScript to support the importing of CommonJS modules. And you are targeting ES6, which is the modern JavaScript syntax. And the model resolution here is Node, because you are using TypeScript, and you're going to use the import from syntax instead of require. If you want, and I recommend that, you can use also source map. If you want to debug your code, then you can debug that directly inside your TypeScript. And this is also another important property, which is the output directory of your compiled syntax. TSC will compile, TypeScript will compile your TypeScript code, and it will copy the compiled code into a dist directory. We are going to use the ES 2015 library for JavaScript, and we are going to exclude Node modules from the compilation process, because that will take a horrible amount of time and because it is unnecessary. So this thing is done. We also need to initialize our Eslint, and you can do that by running Eslint and Eslint from the directory, and it will come together with a command line interface that will ask you for some say what? Oh yeah, init. So you have to say init. Come on. All right. So you want to answer these questions that Eslint is requiring from you. So you can either check the syntax only, whether the syntax is okay, or you can find also some problems if Eslint can find something. And if you want, if you are working on a project with other people in your team, then you might want to enforce your code style. So I'm going to just say leave it as is to check the syntax and find problems. But I've seen companies where they are really enforcing the code style. So let's go with this. What type of modules does your project use? And I'm going to say CommonJS because I've defined CommonJS up there. So, but this is the output for after the compilation process with TypeScript. So it's like this. And now we are going to choose whether you are using React, Vue.js, but since we are using Node.js, then it's none of the above. Where does your code run? Space to select, blah blah blah. Since our code is a server-side code, then it is in Node, and we are going to uncheck the browser. So what format do you want to configure your configure file to be in? So let's choose default by default the JSON file format. So it will generate this file for you. Okay. So you see that you're targeting the ES6 syntax. You will use Node environment and the CommonJS. Other than that, you have, for example, here to provide a rule if you want, and that rule could be console. I think no console. Yeah, no console. If you don't want your software to be providing a no console, then I think there is what? Warn. Yeah. So this will only warn you if you are using console log statements. You can say false or no. I don't know what are the options. So let's check the options. Yeah, error, off, or warn. So I'm just going to use warn. Okay. So now we are going to go back to package.json. And here we are going to delete this since we are not going to use any testing for this project. We are going to, no, not like that. We are going to say start and this is going to be TSC because it will start the compiler, and after it compiles it should go to node, it should run node dist and the name of the file you want to run, and in our case it is app.js. Okay, right, so now I think we are ready. So now we are going to create a folder called source, and inside that folder we are going to create a app.ts file. So this is a TypeScript file, and we are going to import Express from Express, and we are going to at this moment we are going just to create the application. So const app equals Express as before, the same as before. If you have programmed Express applications, it is just the same as before, but you can of course use TypeScript in this occasion. This is a TypeScript file, so you can define types here already, but I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment. So I'm going to declare the port, which is going to use process environment and port variable, or otherwise it is going to go to 3000. So this is the port, and now we are going to define some endpoints. Let's define a get. So in this get we are going to define the default path. We will be having request response, and inside request response I'm going to say console log get request is received, and after that I'm going to response send something. I'm going to send, let's send some HTML. So let's say h2 it's alive. Okay, all right, reminds me of Frankenstein's movie. Okay, so we have this, and of course we need to start the server, which is app listen, and it will listen on the port, and it will provide a callback, and that callback is going to say something, console log. So server is listening on port, not bot, port. Okay, so this should be actually enough, and yeah, let's try this. So npm run start. Okay, so server is listening, and let me open a window here and see. So localhost, yeah, I have 3000 here. Okay, so now it is running. What's happening here is that we are writing our TypeScript code, and then we are compiling that code into the dist folder, and from the dist folder we are running this the app.js application file. And of course we have generated source maps, so in case we want to debug our application, we don't need to go to the JS file and place our breakpoints here. We can go to app.ts and place the breakpoints there instead. Okay, so basically this is it, but I'm going to show you how to write real TS code. So I'm going to source again, and I'm going to declare a file. I'm going to name it definitions. Okay, TS definitions. Okay, so in this file, I'm going to define an interface. So let's say export, and I'm going to define a card. So card, and in this card, I'm going to define a couple of properties. Let's say name, string. Okay, so I'm defining types here, name and message, also string. Okay, so this is Eslint. String only refers to a type but is being used as a value. Yeah, interface. Okay, yeah, now it's good. So export interface. Now this interface is now being exported. We can import it into other files in our projects. And also I'm going to define a function create card, which is going to return a string. Actually, not like that. So it's going to receive a something like card of type card, and it's going to return a string. Okay, and what's again? Yeah, so you see Eslint is actually telling us what are the problems in our code. A function whose declared type is neither void or any must return a value, and we are going to return a value in a moment. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to return a string, and that string will be an HTML string. So I'm going to return a div, and inside that div I'm going to return, let's say, an h4 hello yeah, name. Okay, hello card name. Okay, and message, let's say, I don't know, be welcome to Node.js and Typescript. Yeah, the message is actually what I'm going to send with the function itself. So let's say it's card and message, like this. Okay, I guess we are good to go. So I go back to the application file and I import the card here. So import. We actually don't need to import the type. We only need the function. So create. Yeah, actually we need to export the function. So export default create card, and that's it. It should be now visible. And here I'm going to import create card from definitions. Okay, so this function now is available, and we can say something like const card equals, now let's define the name, I don't know, John Doe, and the message would be welcome to Node.js and Typescript. Okay, so that should be enough to generate a card, and let's do something let's say the style here is going to be background color is kinda gray of some sort. I don't know, A, B, C, D, D, let's do D, 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 D. And the color is blue. Okay. So, yeah. Here, instead of sending the basic HTML, let's send something more complex. Let's say send create card, and we are going to pass in the card data that we have defined, and we should receive a HTML string instead. So I'm going to stop this application and see again. I'm going to npm run start, which will compile this source, and it will put the JavaScript file into the dist folder. Okay, now the server is again running, and you see the definitions file has been compiled into its equivalent in JavaScript. So let's take a look on that. Okay, so it defined that, and I don't even want to study the file. Okay, so back to our application. Let's rerun this. Here you can see that we have generated a card of some sort, and we used TypeScript mechanisms directly in our Node.js project. This actually concludes our tutorial. I hope you found it useful. Please like, share, and subscribe, because that will help this channel to grow. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comments section below. And I will see you in the next time.